How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews back with a re-review. I don't do these often, but I'm doing this one, and that would be Samichlaus. It is their classic malt liquor, 14% alcohol by volume. Done. That's it. The review's over. You can guys go. No, my buddy, I'm gonna call him Flash Gordon from now on because that makes it funner for me. New Jersey brethren, we've hung out, chugged a beer together. He sent me 2 beers off for post-Christmas, immediately after Christmas. I received them actually before even New Year's. And there was 2 bottles in there. One was Thomas Hardy, and it was the Scotch whiskey barrel. I drank that. I did not review it because that's what I do. I've done so many Hardys. It's just, it is what it is. It's the other one. And I knew I was going to review this one for a couple different reasons. One, my Schloss Eggenberg what do you want to call that? Tank has been quite empty. I haven't had a Samichlaus or the Erbach or the Helles or any of their beers in quite some time. And I'm really curious about this. When I did the kind of unboxing, I did it live during my little post-Christmas kind of quick, whatever you want to call it. I was kind of like taken back by the label color. It's like lighter. It's like kind of like a sun-bleached version of what I remember the Samichlaus label looking as. If you look at that, it has like a brownish hue to it. More often than not, the Samichlaus label looks like purplish to me. So I was like, oh, this is something different. Is it a variant? Blah, blah, blah. I looked it up. Apparently the labels just, some of them come like this. I don't know why. There was no rhyme or reason to it. But anyway, we're going to do this sucker. What do we have going on here? So we have Schloss Eggenberg Castle Brewing. It says the world's most extraordinary beverage. It says on here. It used to say the world's most, I think it said the world's strongest malt beverage, I believe. Because at 14% alcohol by volume, it used to be the strongest beer you can get. That was pre-99, something like that. 14% alcohol by volume. Castle Brewery, Eggenberg, Austrian beer, brewed once a year. And, and it's aged for many years, for how many months? The label's kind of fucked up here. I gotta kind of peel it off to see what's what. I should know this. I think it's aged for, I don't know if they give you 4, it's like crinkled exactly where I want to read it, and I'm not gonna be able to get to it. So it's aged for a couple months. And, it says it's brewed once a year on December 6th. So this bottle is from 2016. So you go 16, 17, 18, 19. So it's a little bit over 3 years old. Let's crack in this sucker, see what she's got. This is probably one of the first beers I ever reviewed on my channel. I forget what number it was, but we'll see what's what. Conversely, one of my drunkest times in my life was do the Samichlaus. We'll get to that a little bit later in the review. What do we have going on there? I don't know what to call that. It looks like a whiskey, like an old whiskey, like a carbonated whiskey. I mean, it looks like danger. I know it's danger. It's Samichlaus, but man, oof. I mean, they call it a Doppelbock. I've never really thought in my brain to classify Samichlaus as a Doppelbock, but rich mahogany hue, touch of brown washing it out slightly a little bit, no head to speak of. Kind of like a pretty aggressive carbonation. That's kind of impressive. We're talking about 14% alcohol by volume beer, and that carbonation is as aggressive as it is. I dig it. Label-wise, one of my favorite labels of all time. Classic. Just awesome. Let's see. He actually wrote in the bottom that he's the one who sent it to me. 12/30/19. I didn't even notice that till this second. That's pretty funny. I'm pretty sure I mess up because I mess up the beers that people give me all the time. But I mean, someone gives me a 3-4 year old Samichlaus. I don't think I'm gonna fuck that one up. Actually, I wouldn't put that one past me. Thank you very much, brother. Anyway, yeah. I mean, it's weird. It's almost like a carbonated iced tea kind of look. So let's get a nose. Not nearly as sweet as I thought it was going to be. Listen, Samichlaus has always been like a crazy sweet beer for me. For me, and this is your preconceived notion kind of going into the beer, Samichlaus has always come off as more of like a plum port wine for me. more than beer. That's just how it's always come out. You can go watch my old review of it. But this actually has this kind of roastiness to it, a little bit of smokiness, a big malty component. It does smell more like an earthy kind of Doppelbock than I would give it credit for in the past, to be perfectly honest with you. This is a bittering component there. I believe you're getting that both from a malt side of things, a little bit of hop side of things, maybe even a little bit of toasted woodiness. I believe this hits wood for a little bit. But yeah, she smells nice, man. There's a little bit of Band-Aid phenolic in there that kind of makes me lean a little bit even more smokiness, kind of like a peat mossy Islay Scotchy kind of vibe going on for it. So yeah, very different nose than I was expecting. When I first saw this label too, I saw it being that kind of lighter brown instead of purple. I was like, oh, is this sitting in somebody's window for like 9 years? And it kind of sun bleached the label, which could have been the case. But if you look at the back, it's the exact same coloration. There's no kind of light variant. So I don't think this is sitting in some window because the back would be a different color. Anyway, regardless. So yeah, there's definitely a sweetness there. I'm not calling it a not sweet beer, but I thought it was going to be a bit more richer, sweeter, candy plumminess. Let's dive in. Cheers. Ooh. A little bit of oxidation there. I'm okay with that. In this, let's put it this way. There's no beer I'm okay with oxidation more. Fresher than this beer. It's kind of like almost like a part of the beer. I don't mind it at all. It's not as impactful, not as aggressive as I remember it being. There's this raisinette thing. When I talk about aged beer, I kind of go gaga over this raisinettiness. But this is like raisins that were rehydrated and then juiced. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it has this kind of prune raisin juiciness, and that's kind of my plum wine kind of thing coming into play here. So maybe a lot of the Samichlaus I've had in the past had a bit more age on it, so it kind of aired more towards that kind of plum wininess than that kind of raisin thing, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's a fresher thing. But it has this kind of like raisin pruning hydrated juiciness to where there's like, that's what it reminds me more of anything else. So almost skipping out of that wine portion show and becoming more of a kind of prune raisin juiciness. I'm having a hard time getting past that now I come to think of it. There's like that little bit of like an earthy, smoky component. I don't think it's a barrel thing. I think it's a malt-derived thing. Might be a little bit of soft oakiness in here. I think this hits barrels, doesn't it? Is it just aged in steel? I don't think so. Again, the most important part of the label is obscured for me. Yeah. I mean, it's a classic winter beer. So, I mean, you know, being a Doppelbock, it kind of makes sense. You know, listen. Let's try to like back it up a bit. Take a step back and really talk about this beer with total honesty. I think this beer's okay. I like it. I enjoy it. It's plucking at all the old-timey heartstrings that I have. This is one of the seminal beers in my beer journey. I mean, you know, when I found Samichlaus, it was like an epiphany when it came to beer. I was like, this is beer. This is what beer can be. And there's been several beers that have hit that mark for me, and this is one of them. So even drinking it, it's kind of like when you go, you know, you love a band when you're a kid. And later in life, you go back and see the band, and they're really not all that good, but you still love the shit out of them. And people are like, oh, they're okay. And you're like, shut your mouth, you idiot. They're awesome. It's kind of like the way Samichlaus works for me. So it's really hard for me to disconnect myself from that thought process. But if I'm going to try to be as honest as possible, and this is going to be a little bit of a long-winded thing, it's good. It's tasty. I like it. I think it's a fine beer. It doesn't blow me away. It's a little bit too young. And that's kind of where it starts to veer into what I really enjoy about this beer, is aging it. I think it's one of the world-class ageable beers in the history of mankind. I mean, if you break aging beer down basically Core 4 wins out. Bottle conditioned Core 4 beers is what you want to age. The more components you add to it, the more things can go wrong. Sure, you can do a non-bottle conditioned Core 4 beer and it'll age probably fine, but it won't develop as much. But once you start adding, different components, whether it be bourbon or whiskey or spirits or adjuncts and all those things, that's where you start to really kind of like lessen your odds of a beer really kind of aging with grace. Now, this one has a little bit of oxidation going on, so even 3 years in, it's getting there. That could be a cap thing. They do this kind of paper top with these kind of probably poopy caps, I assume. So that might be part and parcel of it, but it's great. In the grand scheme of things, I still enjoy a little bit of oxidation in this beer. But I really do enjoy this beer with a decent amount of age on it. Even 3 years, I think, is a little bit young. I want to go a little bit longer on this. That story that I alluded to earlier, one of the more kind of drunken nights for me was Christmas Day. I was, single, post marriage, pre my now marriage, and I was living in half a double. My buddy lived in the other half a double. My buddy Wade, and we were just beer. We've been in the beer forever together, and he's having a poopy Christmas, so he came over with a 10-year vertical of Samichlaus. It was 2001 or 2? To 2012 or whatever it was of Samichlaus. And that was such a fun vertical to do. So great. It got pretty drunk because you're going to do a 10-year vertical of Samichlaus between two people. Shit's going to get wild. But, yeah. That's where I like this beer. I really love... People talk about doing verticals all the time. They talk about, doing your, Anchor Christmas or different verticals of different beers all the time. This is probably one of my favorite ones to do, just to see how it progresses over the years. And it's just one of the more funner beers to age. So, stepping back to the whole kind of trying to be as honest as possible. I still enjoy this beer. I think it's quite nice. I think it's fantastic. I think this vintage is a little bit young. I would like a little bit more time on it. I think Samichlaus really kind of gets wheelhouse for me for 5 to 10 years. But this is a fun one. A very cool one. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much, Flash. Your name's now Flash, by the way. I'm sure you've heard that before with, your name being what it is. But it was a fun one, man. Super fun beer. Yeah. I love Samichlaus. What can I say? That's all I got. It's a great beer. Is it one of the better Doppelbocks I've had as of late? Yes. Value and availability. It's usually, $5 a bottle. You can get it everywhere. And you like this. If you like prune, plum, or raisin wine, and you like barley wines, you like Doppelbocks, and you like aging beer, and you like reminiscing, and you like this beer. There you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Me yammering away at random shit. Down there, if you want to talk about it, Massive Beers. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, Beer Massive. You want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little Samichlaus right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.